Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about how to get the most out of a conference. I'm Daryl Girardier, and this is the Church Communications Podcast. Today's episode is sponsored by Pixel Faith. For 17 years, Pixel Faith has been serving churches of all sizes all over the world with broadcast-grade streaming and 24/7 live person support. I'm really familiar with the work because we use them at my church for the last 10 years, and they've been fantastic. Contact Pixel Faith today for a free consultation and more information by going to pixelfaith.com/podcast. Hey everyone, today we're talking about conferences, specifically church conferences that you may go to. Some of us have the opportunity to go to a lot of conferences. Some of us don't have the opportunity to maybe go 1 or 2 a year max total. I don't know what your situation is like, but hopefully at some point you get the opportunity to go to a conference. And when you do that, you want to get the most out of your time there. You just don't want to waste your time. You don't want to go there and come back and think, gosh, I don't know if I really got the value out of that. So we're going to talk about 4 key things that I do that I think you could take and pull from that I think will help you get the most out of a conference. Get the actual squeeze every minute you can out of the conference and make it worth your while. Because if you're honest, unless the conference in your hometown, it's a lot of money. A conference can really add up really quickly when you think about travel. If you do flight, if you drive, you get a hotel, you got meals, and then obviously you got the conference ticket fees. I mean, that real quickly can really escalate really, really fast. So let's talk about 4 things you can do to really get the most out of a conference. Well, the first one, and I think it's the most obvious one, is make sure you pick the right conference. There's a lot of different church conferences, and I think they almost kind of happen in seasons, like in the spring and in the fall, where it's just kind of conference season. And I think if we're not careful, you can easily end up at a conference that maybe looks like it's something you would want to go do, but you end up thinking, wow, this is kind of lame, and it really didn't hit the mark of where I needed to be. My general rule when it comes to picking out a conference is going to be, what are going to be some of the key takeaways I'm going to get out of the conference when I look at the general sessions and when I look at the breakouts. So for me, that really quickly defines that I'm not going to go to a leadership conference. I'm not going to go to a conference as a general ministry type of conference, say Together for the Gospel, or I probably would never go to Catalyst, even though I've been there before. And that's not to say there's not great stuff there. The reality of it is majority of that content I get there, I can get probably from reading a book, or I probably could get by just going and listening to some podcasts. That's not to say those are not good conferences and they're not well worth certain people's times. But in my mind, to get the most out of a conference, I want to go to a conference that's slightly a little more niche based. That's based a little bit more around my community. So you're going to want to find conferences that are a little bit more based around your community and a little bit more of your niche. And that leads into some of these other points that I've got coming up. But in my mind, you want to kind of go for a little bit more niche based than do a general leadership or ministry conference. So make sure you pick the right conference to get the most out of it. Number 2, skip the general sessions. All right. This is if I have a hard rule out of all these rules, this is probably my hard rule. I never go to the general sessions. I will go to maybe a little bit of them, but I typically skip them. And here's why. One, in my mind, the best part of the conference is actually hanging out with people and talking about what they do and how they do it. And to be honest with you, conferences don't really plan for that kind of time. They do for maybe during meals and maybe after parties. But during the day, when you're sitting next to somebody who can share a lot of wisdom with you, I don't want to be sitting there listening to some speaker when I could ask them and maybe get more insight out of them than I could the speaker. So unless the speaker to me is really engaging and compelling and somebody I really desperately want to hear, I typically skip the general sessions and try to network and meet as many people as possible and kind of pull from them, extract from them as much value as I can in terms of how do you do what you do? What are the problems you struggle with? How can I help you? How can you help me? I want to build a network of people that I can go back and rely on when it comes to doing my day-to-day work. And I will tell you, this practice of skipping the general sessions has worked wonders for me. I've built some of the best relationships I have in the church communication sphere is because I didn't go to the general sessions. I ran into people. We went and got coffee, and 45 minutes into a conversation, we've solved 4 or 5 problems. Either they've solved my problems or I've helped them solve their problems. I just think if you want to have deeper, enriching relationships, this is one of the few times you're going to get face-to-face with somebody who may live halfway across the country, but may be dealing with the same stuff that you are. So I say skip the general sessions, because to be honest with you, if you really want the notes, you're going to find somebody on Twitter who's tweeting out a whole stinking conference with the hashtag. Just find the hashtag, follow it, pull all the notes from them, and guess what? You're good to go. You can use those notes. Or honestly, conferences sometimes sell you an online package where you can buy the videos later or the MP3s. I suggest you do that because I think you're going to get more value around spending time around people than you will of actually just sitting there listening to a general session of somebody talk for 40 to 45 minutes. Number 3, come to the conference with an agenda. And what I mean by that is come with a set of problems that you want people to help you solve. Okay. That's not being selfish. That's being a good steward of your time. So I've come to the conferences before going, okay, I need to figure out this online worship thing. Is it really going to be worth it? Is it really going to be time to invest in online worship? And so I went to a conference one time with that kind of mentality, and I found 4 or 5 people that I knew were kind of in that sphere and said, what do you think? What's working for you? What's not working for you? And I was able to walk away from that conference with a good set of answers, which was huge for me. And by the way, I couldn't pay for that information if I tried to research it on Google and try to pull all the information. It would be, cost me a lot of money to have those conversations face to face with people. If I flew around the country to meet with them one-on-one, I was able to meet with these people face to face and say, hey, how do you solve this? But I did that because I actually came with agenda. So when you come to a conference, don't come with this open slate of, I'll just see what happens, serendipity. Actually come with an idea of what you want to learn about. This last time I went to a conference, this one I just was previously at, one of the things I wanted to learn was Instagram TV. Who's using it? Who's doing it well? And who's not, who's kind of thinking it's not really what it's all cracked up to be. And what I found out from people was, you know what? Not a lot of people are using it, and mostly because they're not sure exactly what the audience is. So that was really great information. I kind of got to do a deep dive, ask on some stuff, and really pulled away some good information that I can take back to my church. But that all happened because I came to the conference with an agenda. So don't be afraid to come with an agenda, ready to get some questions answered. And reciprocally so, don't be afraid to come to the conference ready to help people out if people got questions. Just because you don't want to be a taker, you want to give as well. So if somebody has a question that you can help them with, definitely spend some time, grab a cup of coffee, and help put value into that person and help them solve whatever issue they're dealing with. Number 4, bug the speakers. And here's what I mean by that is, don't be afraid to walk up with a speaker at a conference and say, you said this, can you unpack this for me? Or I noticed online you do this. Can you tell me what you mean by that? Or whatever you want. They're there. You're never going to capture a lot of these people for a reason. Somebody paid a lot of money to get them in a room so they could talk to you, maybe in a general session or a breakout. You know what? Hey, say, can I bug you for like 10 minutes? Can you walk me through this issue? You're probably never going to get that chance again to do that. So take advantage of that moment. There are a lot of people that I see at conferences that I'm kind of going, wow, that person's really good at what they do. They're really good at that thing. I just need to ask them 5 minutes. Hey, how do you do this? In fact, the first conversation I ever had with Brady Shearer was me meeting him at a conference, asking him, how does he do certain things? And he was great. 15 minutes, he kind of mapped it out for me. I was like, okay, that's how you're accomplishing that thing. My suggestion for you is don't be afraid when you see a keynote speaker, you see a breakout leader, to say, hey, can you give me 5 minutes and just walk me through this? 99% of them will do it. They will sit down and they'll walk you through whatever problem you've got. If you think of it like this, it's free consulting. If you were going to have to pay them for their time, they would turn around and charge you a lot of money. But guess what? Somebody else did. Somebody else, the conference organizer, got them. They flew them in. They paid them to speak. And guess what? Because they're there, you can grab them for 5 to 10 minutes and say, hey, walk me through this. Don't be afraid to do that because you can get a lot of value out of a conference if you do that. All right, number 5. I know I said 4, but I realized that there's this one thing that you definitely have to do if you're going to make the conference really, really worth your time. And that is this. Is when you go to a conference, you need to go like you're going on vacation. Let me be very clear about that. Go to a conference like you're going on vacation. And here's what I mean by that. Before you jump in the car, on the plane, wherever it is, you need to make sure you got everything at home buttoned up. All right, whatever it is at work, set your out of office on. Make sure all you get your projects squared away. You don't want to be thinking about work when you're at the conference. When you're at the conference, you want to be at the conference. I've seen people go to a conference and literally as soon as they hit the keynote room, they sit down, open their laptop, and they go to work. They go to work on their work that's back there versus networking with the person who's to the left or right of them. And I'm starting thinking, why in the world did you come all the way out here just to do work? You may do that back at the hotel room later on at night. But now you're at the conference, spend time with the people that are around you because guess what? They probably will never be around you again. Too many of us go into a conference with too much baggage from yesterday or that day from our home or work life, and we're not treating it like we would if we were going on vacation. When you go on vacation, what do? You make sure the mail is stopped, the newspaper doesn't come. You make sure, all the little details are happening for you. So the fact when you be on vacation, you can be on vacation. When you're at a conference, you need to be at the conference. Don't do this thing where you're mentally halfway there because you're dealing with work issues. Make sure you're actually at the conference, not just physically, but also mentally. Thanks for watching the Church Communications Podcast on YouTube. If you like this, hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. Do all those things so we can get in your inbox. We would love to hit you up on a weekly basis with really great content. So until next week, you guys take care and we'll talk to you soon.